Hello and welcome to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast on the Fin Addicts Network, brought to you in part by Manscaped. And it is our first victory show of the season, and there is only one way to start that. Do it, Brian.
Jayde, if you know this song, sing along.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. Yes, we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1.
There it is. That is our fight song. And we'll swing it back over to Savak and get the show kicking off.
Oh, about time. My goodness. And I am honored to be joined by my co-host, Brian Byrne, and a very special guest that you guys probably recognize. You might remember her from a previous episode she appeared on, Jayde Saylor. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Really excited to hear about Jayde's first experience. Jayde is from the Bama Network. She joined as a Dolphin fan as of April 23rd, I believe, when we drafted Tua. She's from a state that didn't have a team and then went to the University of Alabama. So new fan. So I'm really excited to hear about her first, finally, it took 3 weeks, her first experience. You finally got your first win as a Miami Dolphin fan, Jayde. How was it?
Well, I have to admit, I was starting to lose hope pretty quickly those first 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, so this is what it's like to be a fan of a losing team. That's not the best in the nation. Then I kind of got used to it, and I was literally expecting nothing on week 3. So it was a great surprise to actually win, and win by a good amount.
Nice.
Couldn't agree more. And, it's something special. There's something special about Florida football in the fall. We love our football here. Maybe not as much as Alabama, but definitely more than Georgia. Can't wait to see who that pisses off. But tell me, what was the atmosphere like in Alabama and, with your other new Dolphin fans in Tuscaloosa, that one?
I watched the game at home. With COVID and everything, I'm trying to stay away. I'm actually going on a trip next weekend, so trying to stay out of the bars. But from what I saw on Twitter, there were a lot of Alabama fans that did not convert to Miami fans that were watching just because it was prime time, and they were all really happy. So it seems like everyone was just pleasantly surprised.
They're going to convert when we stop seeing that smiling, beautiful face on the sideline, and when it's got a helmet on. I think maybe we'll see a lot more of those people switch over and jump to the good side. So the Dolphins are obviously not going to rush Tua on the field. We saw that last night. They could have got him some playing time at the end of that game, but they didn't. How have you felt so far about how they've been handling Tua and letting him wait and be patient with his recovery and his ability to learn the NFL system?
Really good. I don't think he could have went to a better team to kind of sit back and learn and watch and just prepare. And I think it's great. I don't want to rush him out there. No reason for that. He's going to be the future. Let Fitz do his thing. And when the time is ready, they'll know. And obviously I think he needs to get some playing time this year. I don't think he needs to sit all year. But I'm not in a rush to see it.
Has your timetable moved? I think we spoke maybe a month before the season, and I think you were kind of thinking game 8 or 9. Are you still at that thought process?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm really impressed. I remember him in Alabama when Jalen Hurts was the quarterback before he took over for him, and you get the exact same vibe. They're I forget what Siamese twins, him and Fitzpatrick. When Fitzpatrick's not on the field, they're like this and very supportive of each other. And it was the same way with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was the first one to congratulate Tua when they won the national title. And anytime Hurts did anything well, Tua was always the first one out there, pat him on the back. I just think that shows a lot about his character. And have you been noticing that's got that same feel?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Tua got a lot of screen time yesterday too. And he's just always going to be that person. He's always going to be supportive and root for whatever he has to do until it's his time to shine. And I think he knows that it'll come, and he's not going to rush it either. So I think he's totally fine sitting, watching, and learning, and it'll benefit him a lot in the future.
Mm-hmm. And he seems like a smart kid. It says a lot about his football acumen and IQ and work ethic, because as you were alluding to, Brian, whenever Fitz was on the field, Tua was standing next to Coach Flores. And I kind of liked seeing that. It was pretty cool. You know, he was always around the coach or the offensive coordinator. And then as soon as Fitz came off the field, he went up to him, shook his hand, right on. They went and started talking about it. And that was awesome, which does remind me, by the way, Jayde, did anybody ever buy you that Tua jersey for your birthday?
Actually, no, they didn't. I ended up, I never told anyone about it. I kind of forgot. So
I was hoping one of the Fin Addicts might do it. Like maybe somebody would reach out and say, hey, I bought you this. I don't know, man.
I'm calling it out right now. Fin Addicts Network. Listen, we have 2,000 plus followers. We're doing giveaways like left and right every day. Get this girl a freaking Tua jersey. She's a brand new fan. Let's show some what's the word I'm looking for? Some support. And there's another word that's escaping me, but hospitality. Let's show some of that down south hospitality.
Exactly. We're all Southerners here, damn it. Come on.
Someone grab this girl a Tua jersey for the love of God. I loved your take, though. Like, I don't think he could be in a better situation learning from Fitz. I think putting him out there too early, we've seen it so many times in the past where there's pressure for him to get on the field right away, and it just stunts the development. I think, sitting, especially this year with such a lack of a preseason, letting him learn from Fitz is all these sitting on the sidelines during games, showing off that smile, eventually I think is going to be the best for Tua and the Dolphins in the long run. But you kind of answered our last question, and we feel it, but we'll ask it again. So you're 3 games into being a Dolphin fan. What are your thoughts so far?
Okay, my bar is not very high on this season.
You're a Dolphins fan.
Right. I think next week will probably be pretty brutal, and I think the week after that could also maybe be a little bit, kind of depends. There's some injuries there, so I'm excited to see. But then there's kind of a break. But it seems like we have like a not very easy schedule. Also, like just a lot of new stuff trying to gel together. Didn't have a preseason, so I'm not mad about it. I know, like, I see on Twitter a lot of people are really negative, and I'm like, I get it. Like, you guys have been going through this for a long time, and it's frustrating. But as like a new perspective, I think maybe just give it a little bit more time. By next year, my expectations will be a little bit higher.
This is very well put.
This was definitely needed, a year of patience.
Yeah.
The next 2 weeks are rough. They can surprise you, though. I mean, the Bills are just a little bit below the Seahawks, and we played them really tight, 1 or 2 plays, and we could have got that victory. The other thing you got to remember, too, with next week is those Seahawks 3-hour flight, or not 3-hour flight, 3-hour time difference, playing in heat that they have no idea exists. That is always a huge advantage for Miami in September.
Right.
So
It's the reason we were always able to take it to the Patriots when they came down to Miami. Something about that humidity. It's something to deal with, man.
But Russell Wilson is the truth, so that is going to be a tough game. But you're definitely you're right where you're supposed to be. I was a lot like you. I became a Dolphin fan in the 80s and the 90s. We went to the playoffs every single year. Like, it wasn't a matter of are we going to win? It was a matter of, like, are we going to have home field? Will Dan Marino get a Super Bowl? So you're coming from a place of, like, Alabama where you win every season, and you're kind of used to that. But you're at the point you should be as a 2020 Miami Dolphin fan. Cautiously optimistic, I think, is the best way. But you have a 21st birthday party to get to. We don't want to keep you too long. Before you let us go, you definitely got to give us a fins up before you go. But where can we find you? What are you currently working on? What's going on with Jayde and the Bama Network?
Yep, same thing as always. My Twitter is just Jayde Saylor, and then our Twitter is Bama Network. We do the podcast, which is Starting Lineup, and just yesterday we had South Carolina's quarterback Ryan Helinski on for an episode. It was really good. His story is just really touching. So if you want to check that out, it's on Apple Podcasts, and that's about it.
Say your Twitter handle one more time for Fin Addicts Network fans. Buy this girl a jersey. What's your Twitter handle?
It's at Jayde Saylor, Jayde, Saylor, Saylor. So
maybe we'll start a GoFundMe after this. But Jayde, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry you were 1-2, but hopefully things will be.
Hey, that is not a bad start. I like that we turned it around on prime time, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come. We got to start 2 GoFundMes, by the way, one for her jersey and one for my ticket fund, because the Fins are now 2-0 at games that I've attended. So let's get me to more games, huh?
We got 2 GoFundMe, but again, Jayde, thank you. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
And we're back. Thanks again to Jayde Saylor, brand new Miami Dolphins fan. I'm glad she got the opportunity to notch her first win. I was very fortunate enough to get the opportunity to actually be at this game, primetime Thursday night. But I mean, how can I sit here watching it on TV when it's 15 minutes away? You know? And oh my goodness, as I was telling Brian prior to us recording, Jason Sanders' first extra point of the night actually came sailing over the net and bounced off the seat in front of me. If not for being on the phone with my dad at that exact moment, I would have had both hands. That would have come home with me. But I mean, looking at this game, that was incredible. Fitzmagic reappeared, completing 90% of his passes. Are you kidding me? And Dolphins Twitter, we got our wish granted. Myles Gaskin was that featured back tonight, not tonight, last night, whatever. 22 carries, and we'll get into more of that fairly soon. We are now joined again by co-host Jason Sarney. How you doing today?
Hey, it's Victory Friday. Couldn't be better.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
I'm really mad at you, Savak. First of all, I have to say, I'm scared that Thursday Night Football is going to take you away from us with that Thursday night promo that you just did. They might steal you away from our podcast, and we might lose you. But man, if you would have caught that football, that would have been a story. But man, you nailed it. The story was definitely Fitzmagic. He took some heat the week before, but we didn't lose to the Bills because of Fitzmagic. We lost because of really porous defense. But you could tell, man, he made his first play of the night, and it was that Fitzmagic at the end of last year that you could literally feel the vibe, see it in his eyes, and, it didn't stop there. We got off to a really fast start, 14-zip at the end of the first quarter. He broke a Miami Dolphins record going 18 of 20 with 90% completion percentage. The only Miami Dolphin quarterback to do that with a minimum of 20 attempts. So he also threw in a rushing touchdown, another couple runs that were big first downs. It was definitely that first half was all Fitzmagic. And, ending once and for all, beard trumps mustache. Fitzmagic tops Minshew Mania. Jason, what are your thoughts on the Magic Man?
He played terrific. 12 straight completions to start the game. He was stepping up in the pocket. He was delivering a very good ball on target to receivers' hands in stride. And I think that the man, a couple of weeks removed from tragedy, a couple of days removed from scrutiny, really proved a lot of people and a lot of doubters wrong. And if you're not rooting for Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't know what's wrong with you, because he had a smile from ear to ear, and you have to root for a man like that. And I think that he said it best. I'll paraphrase what he said. He is extremely lucky to be playing and leading this team. And you know what? Let's keep this going until the wheels fall off.
Dude, he is having fun, too. He was saying in his press conference today, and after the game last night when he was just showing all that chest hair, he is having fun at 37 years old being a starting quarterback, buying Tua some time to really learn this game the right way. I got to say it, man. Like half of Miami Dolphins Twitter and some people in national media are a little bit scared that like Fitzmagic will keep this going for too long and Tua won't get enough playing time. And like, honestly, I think that's just a really bad storyline. You know, Tua's going to take the job when he takes the job. Let him earn it. Fitzmagic, you know, it's just going to benefit the kid to learn behind a successful Ryan Fitzpatrick, not a Ryan Fitzpatrick that's struggling with the offense or anything like that. So that made me super excited. I'm ready for a few more games of Fitzmagic.
That's exactly right. I'm excited to see it. It's always nice when he gets going. You love to see him go on those little streaks. And I want this to be a successful season for him. I feel like he's earned it. The way he came in last year and galvanized that team of scraps and, you know, who knows who, what, and, you know, et cetera. I want to be able to see him ride off into the sunset, a successful Miami Dolphins quarterback. So hopefully this is the beginning of us seeing that come to fruition. But in terms of our ground game, as I said it, Myles Gaskin was getting fed. 22 carries from the line of scrimmage, caught a few passes. He was very involved and still proving to be the most effective running back that we have on the ground. Now, given he was only averaging a little over 3 yards per carry, but, I mean, you wanted him to get fed. He's getting fed, and he's still making the most of it when those holes open up in the line. Jason, were you seeing that in our run game? What do you think of these improvements that have been made, and do you think that it's going to continue to improve moving forward?
I'm thrilled. Before I completely go to Gaskin, I just had a couple of quick little piggybacks off of what Brian said statistically for Fitz. You know, that record, you know, he beat a quarterback who, if everyone remembers 2008, who the quarterback was Chad Pennington. He had an 85% completion game, and that was the same type of guy, a cerebral game manager. Fitz has a stronger arm, but that's who he broke the record from last time they won a division, just saying. But anyway.
Also, Jason, how did that team start that year? What was their record after 2 games?
0-2, and they looked disastrous, and then they had another wrinkle in week 3. They came in called the Wildcat. We didn't need that week 3, but yes, you are absolutely correct.
Oh, so we were 1-2 after 3 games, and we won the AFC East. Okay.
And then they actually lost a couple of others, and they ran off the table 9 wins, something like that. But that's neither here nor there, Brian. But yes, good point. But Gaskin, listen, I'm going to give credit to where credit is due. Look, if you're a fan of ours, if you're a subscriber, you've seen some of our guests, our reporters, and, you know, Omar Kelly, you know, hot take, medium take, soft take, whatever it is. He said that the best looking running back in camp in mid-August was Myles Gaskin, and dead on. And you know what? Give me this running back committee light, meaning give us Gaskin's 20-plus touches. He had 22 carries. He had 5 catches. Give us the goal line Jordan Howard. If you know what, give me $1 million for touchdowns. I'll be fine per touchdown, and I will be okay. He's pacing for 16 so far. Breed is looking like a great third down pass catcher. Maybe he can get some tough yards when he needs to spell. Laird's your emergency little Swiss Army knife. I love the way this backfield is working, and Gaskin I'd like to see on the goal line to see if he can sneak through that big line, if that's the problem, because Jordan Howard, I think, is batting like, 167 with goal line touches. But what can you do?
Yeah,
I got to touch on
going well.
I got to touch on Gaskin a little bit. Flores said it today in his press conference, and it just sums up what it is. Like Jason said, we were shocked. You know, we had Omar Kelly on before the season started, back when like only a few reporters could see what was going on in practice, and we asked him about running backs, and the only one he mentioned was Myles Gaskin. He did not talk about Burrito or Howard. I don't even think he said their names. He just said Myles Gaskin is rocking camp. And, he's playing well. And what Brian Flores said today is when you make plays, you get more plays. You get more snaps. So, the kid, when he touches the ball, things happen. More importantly for me, though, was just that commitment to the running game. That's what I thought we were going to get when we signed up for a Chan Gailey-driven offense. And that's what we got last night. We got 36 rushes for 138 yards. And what that really resulted in, too, is a much better third down percentage. We were at 53%. I believe the last 2 games it was like 25 and 33%. So, when you run the ball, third downs come easier. You can score some points. My only concern on the running game, a little bit opposite of what Jason is saying, is I don't want to see Jordan Howard get 22 carries on the year and 6 touchdowns. Like, it was so obvious that play calling at the end of the game, or when we got in the goal line, he got the first touchdown. The second time he got down there, the same package came in. He got stopped twice, and Fitzmagic had to go on and, make his own play and get in there. I would like to see a little, man, if Gaskin got you there, give him a touchdown. Like the week before, Burritos got us to the 2-yard line. We brought in that Howard package. Everybody knew it was coming. Gaskin and Burrito, they bring an element of surprise where, both every time Howard touched the ball in the red zone, it was Chandler Cox on one. It was like a wing T. Chandler Cox on one wing, Durham Smythe on the other, Howard behind him, and he got the first one, but the next 2 times he got stopped. I'd like to see some more balance in the red zone, but I'm never going to complain about touchdowns, except for Jordan Howard was on my bench in every fantasy team I own. So, but it's still only 6 points. But it was nice to see that running game for sure.
But I'm with you there, though. I'd like to see a little bit more variety in terms of our running back usage and using different personnel at the goal line, because I think I actually tweeted about it during the game, as maybe these goal line runs wouldn't be so easy to sniff out if we weren't using Jordan Howard for every single one. But it is nice to see the run game get going. You see how everything else starts to work better once you establish the run game. I'm glad we got the opportunity to see it. Myles Gaskin also contributed to the passing game. He caught 5 passes, 29 yards. He averaged 5.8 yards per reception. It's not too shabby for a running back. I loved seeing it. Which takes us over. We saw Mike Gesicki. He was only targeted 3 times in this game, but the one that he came up with ended up being a touchdown. That was pretty exciting to see. And I actually remember specifically one of the incompletions that Fitz had was actually that was like the only ball that he was really off on. He put it slightly behind Gesicki, but otherwise it was great. Loved seeing Gesicki score. I wish he would have scored a couple more times. I was playing him in fantasy, so that was a little bit of a bummer for me, but I was still happy to see it regardless. This was his 7th touchdown in 9 games, tying him for first in receiving touchdowns in the NFL over that time period. So congratulations to Mike Gesicki. Let's see you keep going, man. That's awesome.
Before I jump into Mike Gesicki, who I absolutely love, and, I owe everybody an apology because I said last week I'd be wearing a Gesicki jersey, and I have not ordered it yet, but it is on its way, or it will be on its way soon. But so our other co-host, Drew, texted me right before the show, and he said, you got to take a victory lap on the running game. You called it on when we had Richmond Webb on the other day. Give me an end around to Jakeem Grant. And the biggest run of the game was a Jakeem Grant, reverse. He looked great. He made that huge catch on 3rd down, which I lost my breath. I wasn't sure if he was going to make, but it was nice to see him make a couple plays. But yeah, the thing about Gesicki, so he got the touchdown. Great. Like, that's what we thought we'd get when we drafted Mike Gesicki, was that red zone threat. But the thing that I love about what's going on with Gesicki is, so he also drew a pass interference in the end zone, which led to the Jordan Howard touchdown, right? So he's getting that respect that he wasn't getting those calls last year. But he's also getting respect from the defense, and other people were open. Myles Gaskin had some running lanes because people are respecting Gesicki. He definitely did get less snaps last night than he did in the Buffalo game. There was a commitment to the run, and you saw a lot more Durham Smythe and Adam Shaheen. But, we're watching Mike Gesicki emerge as like a top-flight tight end. And Randy McMichael, I guess, is the only – in my lifetime, we had Randy McMichael as a really good tight end. Charles Clay was he was okay. He'd catch the ball. And he'd get like a first down, but he wasn't like dynamic. Keith Jackson back in the early 90s was dynamic, but, Gesicki is a dynamic threat. That touchdown was great. The pass interference in the end zone he got was great. If we get that dynamic tight end and he continues to he's taking strides every week, and you just got to love it, especially after, how much crap he took from Miami media that first season, just being misused in the Adam Gase offense. So I love to see an emerging Miami Dolphins star, and I think we got one.
I did find that rather curious back before, when he was getting misused and how he ended up taking the blame for that. Well, he's not a blocking tight end, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. I want to talk about this offensive line. I mean, did we see how they were performing? They were really getting.
I just want to jump Savak, but I just want to throw 2 cents in on Gesicki. This guy is just a very extremely gifted athlete who, is like a tight end, sure, but when Charles Clay was a tight end, he lined up as an H-back a lot. So who cares what their position is? It's what their skill sets are, and he's going to be targeted probably 95 to 110 times, Gesicki, and he got targeted so much and got hit so much that's why I think that maybe his targets were a little light on Thursday night. Short week, his body must be battered and bruised from all those hits. Boom, right after those 8 receptions week 2. So, I love the way they're using him. Brian was right with the drawing the penalties because those 3 top targets are drawing penalties. 5 total. Preston, Parker, and Gesicki. 4 of them were in the end zone. So, sorry for the fantasy players because you're going to lose a lot of yards on that, but it is what it is. So Gesicki, yes, is a star, and I think that he will potentially, if they could afford him, go down as the best tight end in Miami history. For the
love of God, Sleeper, we're talking to you specifically right now. If a freaking receiver gets an offensive pass interference, he deserves a point. That is a reception. That really aggravates me in fantasy football, but I kind of cut off Jason there. He made a great video. If you go to Fin Addicts Network YouTube / Fin Addicts Network on Mike Gesicki becoming one of the best tight ends in Dolphins history. And, it's a great made video, and it's what we're getting to watch. It's one of the highlights of the season outside of what Savak already alluded to is that O-line, man. Holy God. Like what we saw last year with it wasn't this offensive line. The play we saw from the offensive line last year, I've never seen anything that bad in my life. I've never seen a professional football team put out anything like that ever. And, every week it was a new starter at every position. Fitzpatrick was getting touched before he got to his 3rd step drop back. These guys they drafted and these guys they brought in, they're all earning their medal. They're all earning what we paid them. They're all earning their draft positions. We gave up 1 sack last night. It had nothing to do with the offensive line. Fitzpatrick, they even talked about it on the commentary. Fitzpatrick held the ball too long, and then he didn't throw away. Troy Aikman made a comment. He's like, the only reason I think he took that sack was maybe to keep the clock running. So they're playing solid. And, it was a big point coming in if this O-line could gel and play well together and stay together. It's been the same 5 guys, and we're seeing improvements every week, and you got to love it.
But I'm sure that Jason has a pretty nuanced take on this offensive line and how they were performing. You want to know?
It's simple as day. It's they're blocking well in pass protection. They've only given up 3 sacks that you can tag them on. That's 1 per game, so that's a fraction of what they're pacing for last season. The last season they were worst in the league with 54 sacks allowed. So do the math. They're doing terrific, and they have 2 rookies who are playing like they're 4th-year veterans looking for a contract extension. So this is fantastic, but they're not completely, A+ because, again, we're not seeing the push in the goal line, and I think things are getting a little bit difficult inside the 5. So what I would love to see is just a little bit more of that, oh, my God, they just moved the defensive line 2 yards. Not seeing that, but I am seeing nice holes in pass protection. So give them a B right now, which is better than an F at this point last year. So I love it. I'm not ready to say that the greatest offensive line since the Cowboys, but they are progressing towards an upper echelon young unit mixed with those veterans.
Absolutely.
I got to say, too, that I'm optimistic about it. I haven't been optimistic about – I agree with Jason. It's like a B+ right now, somewhere in there. They're still really young. They have a lot to learn. But, the past 10 years, since, the 2008 team, I haven't really had any – actually, I will say since Bullygate, right? Since Incognito left, Pouncey got suspended, and then we signed Brandon Albert, who played like 3 games his whole career with us. I have not had confidence in building an offensive line in this team. It was talked about every year with Ryan Tannehill. There's still some Tannehill fans out there that are complaining that they never had an offensive line here. This is the first time that I actually think that they did it right. They're on the right track. Hopefully we get to an A. We're definitely, like Jason said, we're not the Dallas Cowboys, but on the right path and optimistic for the first time in a long time about the offensive line.
It is very encouraging to see rookie offensive linemen hitting the ground running like that, especially in a season where we didn't have a preseason. We had shortened training. This is fantastic, and I think we are on the right track. I'm excited to see what happens moving forward, which, of course, will take us over to the other side of the ball. Fellas, our defense actually showed up. They tagged in. My goodness, were they there? The effect they had on the game. Kyle Van Noy had the trifecta in the third quarter with the strip sack, the fumble recovery. Xavier Howard had an interception, closed the game with it, actually. And the defense as a whole caused 4 sacks. Boy, that was sure fun to watch. Because Gardner Minshew was not able to use the mania or his magic to get him out of that one. Watched him get sacked a couple times. One time, actually, pretty damn close to me. That was incredible. Jason, tell me about what you were seeing from this defensive unit.
More pressure, evident. They got 4 sacks. I liked who got the sacks. Van Noy had the game of the season in Game 3 because a lot of people were suspect on him prematurely. You can't get mad with people 2-3 weeks in because basically this is like the 3rd preseason game in the body clock. And although, of course, Van Noy is going back into a Brian Flores system, he's still on a new team and getting his sea legs, so to speak. So, as you said, he got the triple single for all you basketball players that I like to call it. He got the sack, the forced fumble, and the recovery. And he also absolutely annihilated a running back on a pass rush. And I think he got, that running back is still on a swivel thinking that he missed the license plate on that locomotive or whatever it was. So Van Noy was a fantastic A-graded player. The corners were fantastic. Save 1 or 2 tricky depth situations in terms of not loving the play of Jamal Perry. I question a little bit on why he was in there as much as he was, as well as the bringing up of Tay Hines, who got a pass interference in the end zone. I could guess that maybe a Nick Needham was not in there due to just heavy workload. He had 12 tackles, so his body was obviously taking a hit, and he didn't play particularly great. But I don't want to push panic buttons on that. Aikman played very well. And, of course, with the injury to Byron Jones, let's just see what happens. So I do want to circle the depth of the cornerback situation when we get to number 3 down if you don't have Byron Jones in there, because that's something in 10 days we all have to kind of worry about Seattle and those big receivers. So it's a lot of time to celebrate, but there's also a lot of time to kind of prepare for a massive task that we all have to understand. The Dolphins are 1-2. But in a heartbeat, it could be 1-3 because it's Russell Wilson playing lights out right now. And I'm terrified of DK Metcalf looking like a mini Randy Moss. I will say that. So let's enjoy it. The defense has work to do, but they're playing good.
I got to start off with Noah Igbenogany. How could you not? The kid got torched the week before, got no support, gave up 155 yards and a touchdown to Stephon Diggs. And he came out this week and had to start again because Byron Jones couldn't go. And they said it on the broadcast. They did not move They did not move sides. They played, Howard played his side. Igbenogany played his side the entire game. I think Igbenogany gave up like 1 catch for 7 yards. He had his first pass deflection. With this pedigree of 2 parents that were in the Olympics and he's only had a couple years as a cornerback, you gotta be excited about him stepping up and coming back like he did this week and really being like, you know what, I belong here, guys. Like, that shit ain't happening again. I love that. You loved seeing Kyle Van Noy with the strip sack and the fumble. he did worry me a couple times on some missed tackles and some problems in coverage. But overall, I mean, we got to give this defense props. Like, everyone is dismissing this win as the Dolphins. Oh, it's just the Jaguars. They were tanking 2 weeks ago, but the last 2 weeks, all they've been doing is getting loved by beating what everybody thought was a playoff team in the Colts and, playing Tennessee so hard down to a 3-point game. Gardner Minshew came into this game as the 7th-rated quarterback in the NFL. He had 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Guess how many touchdowns he threw last night? 0. He had a rating of 79, down from he was over 100 going into the game. So, like, this isn't a cupcake offense. You saw they have a good running back. They have some guys to get the ball to. Gardner can be dangerous getting out of the pocket. We put together a good game plan. And the thing to me that stood out the most is, after a game like last year or last week, it's gut check time, right? The defense is either going to come in there, they're going to put on their big boy pants, they're going to show the respect to the coach, and they're going to come out and try to, like, knock everyone's block off and not be that team that was the reason that lost. Or, as we saw with Adam Gase run teams, they quit, they get kicked out in the first play of the game, they just don't show up whatsoever, a la the Minnesota game after the Miami Miracle. It told me a lot about the defense, but it also told me a lot about our defensive coordinator and Brian Flores, that these guys are playing for them, and on a short week to turn it around and have such a different impact on a game, it was huge, and you got to love to see it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And of course, I know a lot of Fin fans on Twitter were getting a little worried about Xavier Howard, and they saw him come down with that interception, and he grabbed his knee. He was asked about it afterwards, and he did respond and said and I quote, "I was just cramping, just a little cramp." So nothing to see here, folks, nothing to worry about. Let's not hit the panic button just yet, start burning it all down. And somebody else had pointed out that I noticed that you played every single play. What have you spoken to the coaches about in that regard in terms of being on the field for every play? And he responded with, "I want to be on the field every play. I won't say I don't have to speak to the coaches about nothing. I'm healthy. I'm out there if I'm healthy."
Yeah, we have to be excited about Xavier Howard playing every snap on a short week. Didn't see that coming 3 weeks ago when he wasn't in training camp, So he obviously – it was kind of funny. One of the funniest parts of the game was he gave up that reception on the sideline, celebrated when the guy made a great catch. He thought he made a deflection. He celebrated and the guy had a catch, but then he came back the next play and picked it off. So it was good to see Howard. I'm about to get mad. The next subject is going to get me a little bit fuming. So before we jump into that, let's take a deep breath so I don't go out of control. We'll pay some bills. We'll come back with the 2 things that really annoyed me in the game, and we'll go from there. How do you guys feel about that?
Sounds good to me.
Right at this moment, there are men everywhere, doing manly things. Beards unkempt, hair run amok, leaving them in a state of hair despair. And that's just what we can see. Never mind what's going on downstairs. But it doesn't have to be that way. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com and enter our promo code FINSUP to save an instant 20%, get free shipping, and help quell the hair despair in your life. These bearded bros are counting on you. Won't you help them?
Toby McGuire, always keeping our bills paid here at the Fin Addicts Network. You got to appreciate it. You got to love Manscaped. It doesn't stop. I appreciate it on every day. I use that ball deodorant. I haven't needed to use the razor in a while, but it's the best razor I've ever used on my face or that other place, we'll say. But good. Manscaped is awesome. Guys, I know you really don't want to talk about it, and I have to. Troy Aikman pissed me off that entire game. He kept saying, So Devontae Parker is dealing with a hamstring injury, and it's kind of been his MO this whole career that Parker will get a little injury and he'll disappear for games upon games, and then have one big game, get another injury. And Troy Aikman kept saying after Devontae Parker made a first down catch, he had 5 catches for 69 yards. He looks like this doesn't look like the real Devontae Parker. He's so slowed down with that injury. But then when it was 3rd down and 12 yards and he makes a catch, and that was kind of annoying. The other thing that was annoying in the broadcast was Troy Aikman kept talking about DJ Chark being missing and how different this game may be if DJ Chark was there. He did not mention Byron Jones missing once. So, maybe those two cancel each other out. Finally, his co-commentator in the fourth quarter did say to him, hey, Byron Jones isn't playing either. That would make a big difference as well. So it was just kind of annoying. I think it all stems to, I went to Jason Taylor's Hall of Fame induction in Canton, Ohio, and we're leaving the facility, and me and my 3 friends are walking, and there's these stack of posters, and I go to grab one of these posters, and a golf cart comes out of nowhere and almost runs over me and my wife. And it's Troy Aikman in the passenger side, and somebody's driving, and Troy Aikman screams to us, "Get out of the way!" It's like, I'm just standing here. So maybe my anger at Troy Aikman in the broadcast comes from there, but it just seemed a little one-sided on the Parker comments. For me, seeing Parker battling injuries, making big plays, moving the sticks, that's what I've been waiting to see for years from this guy. It makes me think that he is finally turning that corner and is the guy that we saw last year. And, just like Gesicki, I think we're watching a star emerge in Devontae Parker, and I'm on board.
Yeah, me too. And it's nice to see. It seems like the whole team is coming together, making it work. We're finally seeing what this team could possibly be when all the pieces are functioning together. So that's what I like to see. We had a balanced attack going. That was fantastic. I hope we can maintain this. That's what I wanted to see out of Chan Gailey. Thank you, Chan. I'm glad you're listening. Okay. But if you guys, is there anything else you guys want to tackle before we get out of here?
To piggyback on the Chan Gailey, what Chan did in the fourth quarter was enable the Dolphins to have time of possession of over 9 minutes. So whatever the complaints are out there that they were ineffective, I think that they were extremely effective in creating minimal risk. What I mean by that is, why would you have a guy like Preston Williams on a short week with tight muscles run 20 yards down the field and do a curl route? So I just think that the name of the game was to bleed the clock, was to get out there with the win, and to take a quick little flight home, get iced, get rest, and stay healthy. So the inefficiency was irrelevant in the fourth quarter because it was extremely productive in getting the win. That's all I got.
It was honestly laughable reading people talking about the ineffectiveness in the fourth quarter. We were 0-2. Everyone on NFL Network picked the Jaguars to beat us. We just won a game 31-13, and people are complaining about in the fourth quarter we only got a field goal. We won 31-13. Come on, guys. That was an all-around performance from punter to middle linebacker to kicker to quarterback to coaching staff. Everybody played great. My only concern, as it was, I said it early in the week, and it still is a concern, is that safety spot. Brandon Jacobs played a little bit as that in-the-box, run-stopping safety, kind of ineffective because they could run the ball. But Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain are just not it. There was one play, Gardner Minshew just threw it up. Both of them were there, and neither one of them could find the ball. It's, again, just Bobby McCain just doesn't. So I don't want to bash Bobby McCain because Bobby McCain is one of the leaders of this team. And he goes out and he will do anything he's asked. But we're just, somebody mentioned it last night on the broadcast, sticking squares into holes. Bobby McCain is a really good nickelback. Nickelback is a bad band, but it's also one of our biggest weaknesses on this team. So I would just rather have a good nickel cornerback than a lost free safety. And it could definitely be improved. There's a couple guys out there that are free agents. Eric Reed's out there. Earl Thomas is out there. I'd like to see a safety. Eric Rowe is more of a, like a Tyrann Mathieu hybrid corner / safety, but he's not going to come down in the middle and stop the run. And, we're missing that, as well as the true free safety middle linebacker, the true free safety middle fielder. Hopefully Jacobs turns into that in the box safety, but coming out of this game, that's, was my coming in. It was a concerning, next week, it's going to be a huge concern. They have guys that can stretch the field. And if Bobby McCain can't find the ball, we're going to be in trouble with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And Jason said it earlier. This isn't a good quarterback we're going against. We're going against the leader in the MVP race next week. He is just on fire. So, hopefully the safeties can play. Hopefully we get Byron Jones back, and that Florida Heat does what that Florida Heat does to Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf's 2% body fat. Maybe he'll cramp. I don't know.
One can only hope. Yeah. And just on that should have been an interception. I almost leapt onto the field myself when I saw that the ball was heading for a blank space there right in front of us. Why is nobody right there getting this right now? It's an easy pick, but hopefully we'll get that sorted out, or get them, one or both of them, replaced. Either way, we'll see when we get there. Are we ready to wrap?
I think we're ready to wrap. I got to say, though, that it reminded me of like playing baseball in like 6th grade, and like the pop-up comes and the shortstop and the shallow left fielder are both looking up at the ball, and then they're looking at each other, and the ball drops right in the middle of them. It was exactly what Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain did yesterday. It was kind of funny. But, yeah, let's wrap this guy up. Thanks again for Jayde for joining us. That was cool. Her first win as a Dolphin. Make sure you subscribe to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast. I mean, just this week, we've had, Chris Chambers, Sammy Smith, Richmond Webb, Ricky freaking Williams. It just gets better and better every week. There's so much more on the way, so make sure you subscribe. We're in Apple, we're in Spotify, we're in Google Podcasts. We're in like 7 other podcasts that I don't even know the names of, but they're on our Twitter. Check them out. Also, follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/C/Fin Addicts Network. Right now, we're doing a giveaway. It's going to end on Sunday, so hurry up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take a picture. You get entered to win one of 2 contests. A $40 hat, Miami Dolphin hat. I'm not buying a goddamn New England Patriots hat for anyone. Miami Dolphins hat, valued up to $40, and you get entered to win that. We are also going to give away a Xavier Howard signed card, and I said it earlier in the pregame that, hopefully he gets an interception and that card gets a little bit more value. It came true. He's still healthy, so subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out. Follow us on Twitter. Fin_addicts. We always have a bunch of stuff going on. And, as always, a pleasure working with Jason and Savak, and a little jealous that Savak got to go to the game last night, but I'll get over it.
I understand, but how could I pass up the opportunity? I mean, it was right there. It's literally around the corner from my house.
I would have yelled at you if you didn't go.
Exactly.
Next time, throw the phone and catch the football.
Well, now I know for the future, and I will.
All right, guys, we get to finally close this show with a winning Fins Up, baby.
Fins up, everybody.
Hello, and welcome to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast on the Fin Addicts Network, brought to you in part by Manscaped. And it is our first victory show of the season, and there is only one way to start that. Brian, kick us off.
Jayde, if you know this song, fuck, dude. Fuck. I closed it.
Hello and welcome back to damn it. Now Start over. Hello and welcome to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast on the Fin Addicts Network, and brought to you in part by Manscaped. And my goodness, it is our first victory show, so there's only one way to start it.
Jayde, if you know this, sing along.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no